So it's not really ideal for.
Oh, it's not really ideal for memory systems because it's really easy to do a bajillion writes to a single cell.
How many writes?
Huh?
Do you know how many writes it can
Oh, actually, we're talking about that right now. So the current status is that they found that the manufacturing of this device is simpler than Flash, so it has potential to be cheaper than Flash. It has the same density as NAND Flash, same performance of NOR Flash, and for each cell, the endurance, it can handle 100 million writes per cell versus the multi-level cell Flash of 10K writes. And the biggest challenges with this technology is that it's temperature sensitive, how you're gonna be able to control temperature internally and externally. And it's difficult to have pre-programmed devices like NOR flashes or NOR flashes because when you're manufacturing these devices, I think it's a federal law to make it so you have to manufacture these devices at a really, really high temperature. Because of that temperature, you can't really pre-program these devices. So our next memory NVRAM technology I'm going to be talking about is spin transfer torque RAM, which, as you can see, this is kind of one cell. Under it is like it's supposed to be like an interaction with transistor, but practically these two layers are magnets, and these blue ones are fixed layers, so they have one polarization, so it would be like north to south, and these stay like that. But this top layer can change depending which state you want your bit to be. So if they're opposite, this is a really high resistance cell, and this is a low resistance cell if they're in parallel with each other. So by writing, for reading, how you read is same thing with phase change memory, is that you send the current through this cell, and you find the voltage difference between these two parts. To write, there's two ways you can do it. The initial way is to send a huge current through this cell, and because of that current creates a magnetic field from your physics 201. What, it's 201 and stuff? It's 202. Oh, which one? From what we learned in there, when you have current, it creates a magnetic field, and with using that magnetic field, you can switch this bit. The smarter way, which has to do with quantum physics and spin on electrons around atoms. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but we practically send some current through into the magnet, and because that current holds some spin, because the electrons have spin, and it uses that torque to switch the polarization of the magnet. So that's basically magic right there. And I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of STT-RAM. It's physically similar to DRAM, has lower power than DRAM, it's fast as DRAM, and it's non-volatile. So there's a lot of hype in this technology, but the size of the induced magnetic field when you when you're pumping current into the cell is really hard to control because the magnetic field can crawl into other cells, which can be problematic for your device and for your programs. So that's really problematic.
Did we discuss what the cost of this was, or?
Well, cost.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's talk about this diagram then. As you can see, there's many layers. So that's what's preferred when you're manufacturing these devices. So, and as you can see, this is all it takes is one transistor and one cell, and you can stack this cell on top of one of the wires. So it's really small. And that's really cheap compared to SRAM, and it's cheaper than DRAM because it takes less room, but it requires a lot of mask manipulation when you're building, manufacturing this device. So I hope that's enough for you to understand what the cost. So the current status of this is that it's able to use spin transfer torque and heat to further reduce the amount of energy it takes to program this device. Spin transfer torque, the quantum mechanics behind this is that it requires the device to be under 65 nanometers. So it has a scalable path below 20 nanometers. So that's even lower than most chips today. Has a density of flash. It also has multi-level. You can also have multi-level cells in with STT-RAM. So basically, all you do is just stack these magnets on top of each other with different strengths. So you basically have an additional state within that cell. So this 500 picoseconds, it's kind of vague on this slide, but let me elaborate on this. DRAM, the internal clock rate inside DRAM is 200 megahertz. So the clock within DRAM is 200 megahertz. But in like 2 years ago, there was research that they're able to switch a bit, settle the bit when writing to it in 500 picoseconds. That's equivalent to 2 gigahertz. So an extra magnitude order of speed or clock rate. 2 gigahertz internal. It can have a 2 gigahertz internal clock rate in this device. That's some theoretical, or it should be able to be ideal soon. Because of this, it can have similar read and write speeds as SRAM. If you have like a 2 gigahertz clock processor with some cache in it, it probably can match that speed. So a lot of people has high hopes into this because they believe this could be like the universal memory of computing. Biggest challenges is that they need to reduce the amount of energy and control of the amount when doing spin transfer torque and increasing the heat of these magnets at the same time to make it faster, more reliable, and all that stuff, controlling the induced magnetic field when pumping.